When I ask people, what do you want from your life now, your work and life situation? I want balance, they say. And I say, okay, let's work on this a bit more and see what it's actually that you want and whether it is balance. Because what happened is that when you try and squeeze everything in and you come into this situation of frustration and not feeling enough, then naturally your feelings reflect on your results and you marginalize your success. So you cannot maximize your results and you underperform. And even if you reach some level of success, this is not sustainable. Like you might succeed for a while in your career, and then it just drops and you try and kick it, bring it up again. The same thing in the family. So it's nothing sustainable. And it's not what I say about 360 degrees. That's where it came up, because you're in the center. It's work is part of your life. Your work is your life. You cannot split that. You're in the center, and it's not a circle as usually they say about the life cycle and the different areas. It's a sphere. It's a sphere. It's a 3D thing, and you're in the center, and everything is around you. All right. So how can you talk about trading areas or trying to fit everything in? Everything is you. It's yourself in all areas, right? And it's not a matter of terminology, because now they have come up with a lot of jargon, like it's instead of balance, they say it's about synergy, coexistence. They have come up with different words. The idea is not the words, it's about the meaning of balance. And usually when we hear about the word balance, what comes into, we always think with pictures, right? So when you talk about balance, you come up with the picture of a scale, right? And you're trying to weigh things. So how can you weigh work and life? What's more important? Is it your work or your life? How can you put a weight in two very important parts of yourself? And also, when you put things on a scale, if something, there's a shock, there's an earthquake, and something moves the scale, then everything falls down and falls apart. So it's not about balance in that meaning. But what you could think about is about dynamic balance. And dynamic balance is a totally different concept. Dynamic balance is about tweaking and adjusting things constantly. It's not a static balance, but it's about at any point of your time, tweaking things around and adjust them according to what you define as balance, because that's totally personal. And my balance is not your balance, and it's not somebody else's. Now, how you choose your own balance and how you define it, it's a whole process. So it's not about static balance, it's about dynamic balance, right? And tweaking. Like, let's give an example. Like today you have a to-do list, and something sudden changes, like something in family, something in your kid's health, like he gets a fever. I'm sure this has happened in your personal life many times. And so what happens? You tweak that. Imbalance is something that if we learn to live with, it will also bring peace into our lives. You cannot have the perfect balance at the perfect time, even if you sort everything out, because this happens in the textbooks. It doesn't happen in real life. Real life, throws things at you that you never expect. So you're out of balance constantly. And what you're called to do is to try and adjust this the best way that you can according to your purpose and your values. That's always your filter and your guide. So it might happen, and I was saying the other day to a client that it's about, let's say, I was saying that word in Greek, it's about allowing yourself, giving grace to yourself to be in balance for even a certain period of time. And let me give you an example. Let's say that and I'll give you an extreme example because most people think it's a thing of gender, of women and moms and all that. I'll give you an example of a husband. They're having a newly born baby, right? Do you believe that this will not affect his work life, even though he didn't give birth himself? Having a baby at home upsets your whole life. Your sleep prevented. Things changes. So you bring life back to work, right? And this should be acceptable. You should give grace and actually enjoy this imbalance for as long as you have planned it. It's not forever. This is what we don't want to happen. We don't want it to be forever. But if we decide that for 10 months, let's say, or 10 weeks, this is creating imbalance and I will enjoy the birth of my newborn. And this is happiness in my life, and my work will be left behind for a while for this period, and that's okay, and I accept it. Then you obviously feel free and feel better. So you can accept and give grace to yourself to have periods of imbalance. Same thing if you work on a project and you're away from home and skipping some family dinners for a predetermined select period of time, right? So you define it and you want it to be there, and you make agreement with your family as well for that. That's for family life, right? Or your friends, if you don't have a family, that, I'm disappearing from the face of the world for 3 weeks because this is a priority for me. I love you. I care for you. I'll show up in our gatherings in 3 weeks' time. So you clarify it, you put your boundaries, and then you give grace to yourself and you thrive. That's how you thrive. That's how you stop striving and you start thriving. Because unless you have all the areas of your life in a flow, because this is what we're looking actually, a flow, then one is competing on the other and you make trade-offs, and then obviously you have frustration. It's about a mind shift. That's why I'm totally obsessed about mindset and leadership, because it's shifting your thinking, right? If you change your thinking and your perspective and you see things in a different way, then you break free. I guess already by thinking about the dynamic balance, it gives you some sort of freedom already, right?